here this afternoon to have this discussion. This discussion should have held like about 2 years ago or thereabouts. But unfortunately, a couple of things didn't quite work out the way we planned them, and then we had COVID and then all the other challenges that have been happening since then. I wear two caps. One is the first cap, which is quite conversant with the consultancy cap I do with ROLAC, and then I also do some work in civil society with Center for Social Justice. So today we are here on behalf of the Center for Social Justice to talk about the program we've been running for the past 2 years. And that program is focused on reforming Nigerian Assets and Liabilities Declaration Framework. It's a program we are doing with the Open Society Initiative for West Africa, OSIWA, which is now an African-wide governance framework. And the whole idea is that we want to see the Assets Declaration Framework to contribute to the reforms and vision of a Nigeria where that framework leads to reduction of corruption and the reduction of illicit enrichment and abuse of office. We are quite aware that the Code of Conduct Bureau is a constitutional and foremost anti-corruption commission, just like the Office of the Auditor General for the Federation. These are two anti-corruption agencies founded in the supreme law of the land. But incidentally, I wouldn't say unfortunately, they don't seem to enjoy the prominence those other agencies that were established by a mere act of parliament, which is an inferior legislation compared to the constitution, like the EFCC and ICPC enjoy. Even the funds available to these two agencies, if you add it together, if you add Code of Conduct and the Auditor General, it can't come near to the budget of EFCC or ICPC. So we are saying that if you have such a hefty mandate, there should be a way of doing a couple of things to ensure we reposition such an agency. Part of what we had done, why I say this meeting should have happened like 2 years ago, is that if you look at the second document down, you see where we did a memo saying a policy brief calling for making a case for improved funding of the office of your CCB. And indeed, while we were doing this, if you look at the documentation on the budget office of the Federation, most of the times they will show you what was appropriated or allocated to an agency. But it's very difficult to find the actual releases. And as somebody who works on the budget, I know very well that most of the times what you see as appropriation is not, very few agencies will get 80%. I'm not even talking of 100% of what is appropriated. So we are looking for the actuals. And indeed, we did write a letter here saying we have this. As we are making a case, it will be necessary to also show the actual monies that came to CCB. But unfortunately, we didn't get that. But we ended up with that policy brief, which we distributed even in the National Assembly and in the key agencies of government that make economic policies. At some point in time, I remember talking to somebody about a very senior official who I wouldn't like to mention his name, and say, these people, they need some more money. And the person was looking at me and saying, Mr. Onyekpere, who are you? I know you very well. You don't work for CCB. Why are you the person championing that CCB will get more money? Are you, when they get appropriation, are you going to be, is there any way they're going to get something across to you that those who need the money should come and make their case, that I shouldn't be an outsider who is crying more than the bereaved? So this happened about 2 years ago. And thereafter, we also did some work around making a case for this online asset declaration, which we have already started working on. And the idea we were making is that at the end of the day, it helps your work, it gives you more visibility, you feel more a sense of having been satisfied because you are delivering more from the little resources available to you. And we were quite happy when the work went up to stage before it appeared to have been stalled. So what we are trying to do is to make that case. Part of the funding requirements was also to make the government become more serious and committed to releasing funds, because this thing would have worked more if not for like, if you're not waiting for a donor, if government was like putting in more resources. And then at the end of the day, we also need training and retraining for both your staff and people out there in the public service who have to declare. Because we came to a conclusion that if you have just less than 1,000 persons working here, and you have to cover how many persons, over 4 or 5 million declarants, it's not going to be possible. You are not magicians. Nobody can simply do that kind of yeoman's work. In some other jurisdictions, some people are selected and asked to declare, but in our own, we are asking from the cleaner in the local government office, the commander-in-chief. If we take a good census, I don't think it may be less than 7 million persons are supposed to have take custody of the asset declarations and work on them. And at some point, we made an analysis, and the per capita, assuming all your allocation, we had to go into investigating asset declarations and doing that, vis-a-vis the number of persons you were supposed to work on. You could see possibly you didn't get up to 20 naira per. You could not have more than 20 or 30 naira per declarant if you were to go after and say you want to investigate. So these are some of the issues that we had wanted to bring on the front burner of not just discussing the CCB, of national discourse, because sometimes an agency that is in government, a government agency may not be the best to be pushing. There are things you can't say, because not that you don't know how to say it, not that you don't know it, but because you are in government, if you say those things, it will be like, oh, why are you saying this? But somebody can say it on your behalf. I can make a case that you are very grossly poorly funded and insist you can be good. But when you attend council meetings and a lot of places, you can no longer be in a position to say certain things. So that was the kind of collaboration we have sought and which we are still seeking, because the program we are running now is about winding up, and we are thinking of a new phase for the program. And that's why we are saying we need to come here. Where is it that we can come in as a civil society organization? What kind of sensitization are you doing? Is there any place for us? What role are we going to be offered so that we can help champion this cause from outside of the government, while those that are inside are working, those outside are also working in harmony and to support them. You can see many of the anti-corruption agencies like EFCC and particularly ICPC, they have a network of CSOs and organizations that work with them, that support them, that even report to them from time to time. And so this is the kind of thing we are looking forward to see what are the possible areas you think that we can come in, not just alone, with a group of other civil society organizations. And we are not coming to ask anybody to give us any advantage or any money. It's what do we bring to the table? What competencies, what capacities, what resources do we have we can bring to the table to support your work? Even like, if this program is launched, if this program, the online access declaration system, if it is properly packaged, I see donors falling over themselves, UN agencies, to begin to support, because some of the things they support in other anti-corruption agencies are not as groundbreaking. This is going to be a groundbreaking work, the online access declaration system. They are not as fundamental and groundbreaking as this. And that's why I was saying, even if you don't have all the money to launch and get everybody on board, even if it is the permanent secretaries and a few directors of critical agencies, 300, 400, 500 people, you do it, and then there's a case that this is succeeding, is working. Because now it's not an opportunity for anybody who can support to queue in. We did this simply because this is the little we have. We've been faithful over this little. So if you give us much, so people will now be coming in. And at some point, Roland talked about a donor convening for this project. But it must get to a critical point where you can have demonstrable deliverables and wins, where a team like Roland can say, okay, we have our partners in USAID, we have our partners in DFID, we have our partners all over, 10, 15, all of them, they come here or in a hotel or wherever, you demonstrate what we have. Here we say, I can fund this aspect. My money doesn't allow me to fund this aspect. B will say, this is what I can fund. And before you know it, you have more resources. Indeed, these two agencies I call, EFCC and ICPC, they may have more money from donors than they have from the budget. And that gives you a lot of latitude to do a lot of things, which you can even demonstrate to say, you gave me just 1 billion. I am reporting on work, because definitely you're going to report to government. I have achieved something worth 5 billion, though you gave me only 1. So in essence, that's what brings us here, to see where can we come in as outsiders who have a little idea of what is going on inside. How can we support? So that's what brings us here. Thank you for the audience. And I forgot this. This is another one. This is the last paper. This one looks like we invited CCB was here, CCT was here, and the Law Reform Commission. This bill, which we said, we have sent letters here in the past, and many CSOs and activists have sent letters. And the standard answer we got was like, you are the one who drops it on the Negro man. You have a standard response. You will tell everybody that the Constitution says you should, get this thing out when National Assembly has made a law in that respect. Although some of us argued that FY is the law, you do not agree, and it seems the courts at the lower level do not agree, because I know there are cases still upstairs at the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court to put a rest to that matter. So our response has been to draft this 3-4 pager as a starting point for discussion. And what we are saying here is not necessarily that they should put everything, because we even understood the need to redact, to remove certain information from that portal, so that we are just thinking of a portal beyond the online access declaration portal, a portal that could be accessible to people to have an idea of what's going on. But critical information may get away, but this is just a first draft for discussion. We have had a workshop on this. I think maybe you represented the CCB the day we had it, but we haven't got so much track on it. And another thing we were discussing also was the issue of how do we liberalize the CCT? You can't just have a commission, a chairman, and a couple of members while you have millions of people to declare access. Can't we have it like the Court of Appeal has divisions in Enugu, in Zamfara, in everywhere, so that things can be much more easier and liberalized? That one will require a constitutional amendment. And we sent memos at some point in time, but I'm not too sure it was part of the things that were successful in the constitutional amendment exercise. So generally, we are looking at a broad collaboration that involves even helping to work on law review, pushing some of these things, and then seeing how far we can get. Thank you.